So, me? Oh, is she talking about the thistle? Maybe that's what she was. Yeah, the thistle around my plate. Yeah, which we've sprayed it like at least 3 times now this year. Like you can see dead thistle and then you see all this new stuff sprouting, which the ribosomes in thistle can end up being like 7 years worth. But our goal is to like kill everything off, and then we're gonna put all new black dirt down and then put down either we'll probably do sod because it'll be late enough in the fall here. So it's our plan, but
We're
not there yet. Hold on.
you're not there yet?
Actually, I think it is recording. Yeah, it's recording. Okay.
Excuse me, gonna call to order the meeting of Parks Recreations Committee for Thursday, August.
Right. Committee member Derek Look.
Here.
Committee member Emily Spahn.
Yeah.
Committee member Jed Henry.
Yeah.
Committee member Jennifer Bonte.
Here.
And trustee Cody Bratton.
Here. All right, we'll start with the reports. It's not a real formal report, but I've had a lot of people commenting on how awesome pickleball courts are. A lot of new people that I never imagined, friends of mine, playing pickleball, trying to get me out there. Once baseball season wraps up, I'll try and get out there some. And the bathroom facilities at Bear Park at the Large Diamond have been getting great reviews. Awesome what you guys have done up there. The work is top notch, and it's nice having 4 individual bathrooms to go into. And that's all I've got. Anyone else got anything?
Feel like you do. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Floor is yours.
No, I'm trying to decide. No. I did notice that the sand volleyball courts seem to be getting some regular use, which is really fun to see.
I've yelled at kids several times to leave the markers alone.
Pull the stake.
They like pulling the stakes out and having wars with the ribbons. All right.
I guess somebody did ask me, is there a way to turn on the lights on the sport?
No.
So, okay, that's not. So they were like trying to throw switches or something over there, nothing was happening.
Yeah. They've never worked, I don't believe. So that was done before I came. I think that line's been hit like 3 or 4 times. When they did construction on Brewery Road, it got hit, and like a few other times. They've been like the actual line running from the switch to the lights doesn't have connection, I don't believe, anymore. But I have never seen them actually on or works.
Okay. And then I guess the only other thing I can think of is maybe it's a baseball specific request, but is there more clay, or is there any clay for the mound in Big Diamond?
Yes.
The landing spot, and then like a little bit by the rubber. I guess I've heard feedback from pitchers that both those need
So
packed in a little bit.
So we purchased 20 bags of clay, which is the fine granular stuff at the beginning of the summer.
Okay, so is that just in the shed over?
It is.
Okay.
We have extra in our shop. We don't leave it all there because they tend to use a lot more than they need from time to time. But we did have them up there, or we have all the bags, all but probably 8 of those bags are up there. If they were out, that was Jim Nunn or Randy Meinholz would have contacted us. So I've never heard from any of them that they didn't have any to fix it. But
okay, yeah, this has been straight from like I guess younger pitchers than talent.
Okay.
But so they just put a granules, we sweep it out, put that in there, water
it down, pack it, and then put the tarp over it. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a checklist in the box And there's one up in the concession stand as well.
Awesome.
So I have more questions versus
Let's-
statements. So
let's
would
do
you
it. No one's
rather
here.
give us a brief
Absolutely.
and then we'll ask questions.
You can ask questions.
So, was there any feedback? I'm just curious, the lifeguards for the pool are almost senior coaches. And so every time the stingray, I think that's what you told me, so every time the stingrays, most of them anyway.
What one?
The majority of the time when the stingrays have meets or we had activities, we would have to close the pool to the public. Was that a problem? Do you think? Did anybody complain about that? I was just kind of curious. Like,
So,
about the kickoff,
Are you
I was
talking
curious.
about, the night of the kickoff and then also,
One example.
we closed for conference weekend, most days. I did not receive one complaint from the community or anyone with memberships. I think the nice thing for us this year is we knew them way ahead of time. So we were able to schedule, clarification to the community. We put up signs as well, like stating, we'd be closed on these dates, when people came in. Becky did a great job scheduling those on Facebook as well. So we got a lot of people seeing those and sharing those, to try and get that out. Yes, yes. And the Text My Gov, if you sign up for that, has been great. Like,
There's an email option too, maybe, or do you just do that? Is that?
so you sign up for the Text My Gov on our website.
Yeah.
And then if there happens to be a closing or happens to be a cancellation or any of that, then I just send out a message. On that. And Becky will do it as well if we need to. It's been great.
The communication's been excellent.
Good. Good.
Mhm.
And that is one area that we had for getting better, because I think, and no matter what, there's always things happening, so you're always being pulled and going in different directions, so there's not putting blame on anybody, but that's one area that we've had on our goal list for like the last 8 to 10 years. And I feel like this year was probably the best of all. And I credit Becky a lot because she came up with a lot of these ideas as well and like how she could help, because she's always in here as well, which is so helpful. So
Every
Yeah.
time I see one on Facebook, I share it. It's
Yeah.
more likely that anyone doesn't see it.
and I don't go on there a whole lot, so I know that's the way people do get a lot of communication from the village in general. So I get it. It's great for that reason. I just don't go on it for other reasons.
There's that, then, I forget what the name of the park is, but the park in the middle of Glacier's Edge parking lot,
Mhm.
AC's,
Especially that square.
or Glacier's Edge Square.
Mhm.
I did not anticipate the work that they're doing. I'm excited to see what it's gonna look like afterwards. There's no more parkland, right? Is that just?
Well, it never really was parkland. So the donation of that land is that it was literally a waterway. So that catches pretty much all the water inside Glacier, right? Technically, and you look at when people provide parkland for people, that can't be parkland. So that's one. Two, yes, there is a lot of work done. There won't be any green space really left as the way it's set up. I mean, there'll be some still, but not really much. They are expanding. They expanded that area, gave it to the hardware store so that they can have display. So it's off of their parking lot. That was part of the agreement that the village board and the hardware store came up with. Like, we weren't involved in that, obviously, in parks, but at the same time, I was more or less like, just do something with it, right? Like, it's an eyesore.
They got some grant.
We did, Public Works crew actually worked on it to begin with, because Jerry didn't know he was supposed to, but Jay had thought that was the plan. There was no money to really set aside for it, so they worked on kind of excavating, and they've taken out all the trees that were there. Currently, there'll be some that are added once that's all done, so we know, what it's going to look like and kind of what the site is after that. But they took out all the lights as well because they haven't worked. No one knew who owned them or where they ran to, and so there may be some thought in the future of some type of solar lighting throughout there, which we're going to talk about a little bit tonight.
And what is the role of Parks Department gonna be in the new Bourbon Road, like the trail, the bike trail, the walking trail? Again, that's just concepts, but isn't there gonna be like not a trail, it's not a sidewalk, Because people didn't want to.
Brewery Road.
Brewery Road.
Oh,
Brewery, not
okay. I was like,
Brewery,
I'm like,
Brewery.
thinking
No.
Yeah,
Your side of town.
yeah, I get it. Brewery, yeah. So, you mean our role in regards to like
Like
cleaning it?
maintenance or cleaning,
Yeah, just like all the other ones in the village. So we will plow it throughout the winter months along with public facilities when needed. So that was what staff was recommending. We really would like to see us go to more of that because we see how well it's utilized and used by the community. You know, through Xander Park, and our whole thought process is trying to get as much connectivity as we can in this village because we don't have sidewalks. And even with sidewalks, like they tend not to meet the needs of everyone, right? So the path aspect is kind of what we hope to go to. As you can see out in the new Creekside development, we had them do that as well. So our goal is to connect all of those. And then at some point, we are able to then connect those to the larger trail that goes throughout the Dayton, Eastern or Western Dayton.
Did they do that in Scenic Ridge too?
They did, yeah. Through out on KP.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's
I have another question, or I have a question of when is the time frame for like the dumpster removal and the rock removal at Bear Park?
funny that you bring that up.
I personally unaffected, I'm just.
So the rocks have been removed. Those actually got moved over onto Bourbon Road to the village hall site.
Okay.
Those were moved by Public Works.
Because you saved those because they were left over that train to.
Those are riprap. Yeah, so we actually use those riprap now. We put that in on Brewery Creek. I'm sorry, on the Black Earth Creek. So through Xander Park, we've had a lot of erosion issues that are actually pretty close to the trail. So we used those to do riprap down through the creek there. So a lot of those have been used, not all of them. There's still, if you drove down through Bourbon Road, you'll notice a large pile still that'll be utilized at some point. What was the other question? The dumpster. It's funny you bring that up because we had a meeting, I think it was last week. We had asked them to take that dumpster out of there before Memorial Day. So it was full already at that point, right? They were done with construction. We had asked them to take that out. I had asked them to take that out in a meeting here with the whole construction crew. Said they'd be done. And then last week, someone else asked us, and I don't know if it was I can't remember now if it was what meeting. I think maybe it was a department head meeting. And I said, yeah, I asked them to do that. And Jerry said, that was your problem. You asked them. So you tell them. So he was going to tell them, but obviously maybe he hasn't gotten any further than I did. So, but I agree, it's been an eyesore for quite some time. So, and it still is being used. I don't know if you noticed, but people threw, I mean, they did back in the spring, but threw all the old pitching nets and all that kind of stuff in there. But there's construction people throwing in all their, and that's what happened. There used to be a dumpster there. And everyone, I think every construction company would use it to throw in. Oh. Oh, sure. Like right in
Sorry about that.
Okay.
I was saying now with the situation, is all they're going to reseed it or
Yeah,
something?
they did. They reseeded it, but when you reseed stuff, you also have to water it if it's not going to rain. So they will be coming back to redo that. They have a lot of work to still do, obviously, inside the pump house. They haven't done, they're waiting on a lot of the equipment to run the well. They're still waiting on a generator that got pushed back, I think, another month now. So, but they're supposed to come back here. I believe it's September, October time to start finishing that. No, it hasn't been started up yet. And the whole plant, like thought process was, do we want to start that before we get the generator? And we're more or less saying yes. We ran for years with the well 2 without a generator at all. So goal is to kind of get that thing running as fast as I can. So once they do that, and we know that trucks aren't going through there anymore, we'll be taking out all the wood chips and barrier and all that stuff in that park and adding all new, because it's obviously, you can tell it's been trampled through a lot with trucks. And we also have to get a new trash can there as well, because they hit one. They're purchasing it. But
I just feel back to the houses that flat out on that side.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess we could probably take the vent track and run through it. The mowers aren't gonna mow around it either. It's rock, there's a lot of rocks and stuff in there too. I'll bring that up too, see if that's an option. And, yeah,
Trustee Brenner's philanthropy spike wet. I saw that it was going to different organizations this year, local organizations. And one of those things I saw, and I can't remember, was to Cross Plains Baseball in support of the wellness building. Is that the flow of that donated money coming through, or is that being donated to I don't know how that all works, but is that really going to the Cross Plains Baseball to them in support of the wellness, or is it coming through the village?
so, no, not the village. The Cross Plains Wellness, or so the Cross Plains Baseball is the nonprofit group that is receiving the funds for the building. They're the only 501c3, or the 501c3 that's related to that program. There's been talk in our meetings. We've had a few meetings about it as of late about the fundraising side of things for that. There's been some talk about how can we change that message, because right now there's a QR code. People can, we're going to get that out. Their group's going to get that out with QR code, and they don't want to say thank you for donating to CB Baseball, right? So they're talking about, can we change that message to be, which another thing is that we're trying to change the entire message that it's not a wellness center anymore, and that this is actually a Cross Plains Recreation Center. So there's just been a lot of different things kind of thrown out, and I think names in general have been kind of an issue in some sense. So our goal and focus is to try and get one message that's coming out with this group that's here. Myself and Becky have been a part of those meetings as of late, and we're trying to frame that right going forward. So
I'm just curious, why the change from wellness to recreation?
well, mainly off of definitions. So if you look up definitions to what these buildings provide, wellness and or fitness and or I think there's one more name in there, don't really relate to what the makeup of the facility is or the majority of the facility. And so what we're hearing from a lot of people, or what I have heard especially, is that how is this a wellness center? Like, what parts of this are wellness? Wellness is usually associated with healthcare and or other entities that aren't necessarily what we are providing in that facility or what's being provided in that facility. Yes, it has a walking track. That's great. But policy wise and what's actually going to be used in regards to the facility hasn't been decided. So when you're saying wellness center, that should be the majority of the use of that building, and we can't necessarily say that, in my opinion.
You're right. I stopped calling it the wellness center because when I think of wellness center, I'm thinking there's going to be machinery,
Correct.
there's going to be a fitness center inside. So I started calling it field house when I refer to it, because kind of that's what it is. It's an indoor field house.
Could be.
But I always use recreation center, but you're right. I departed in my brain to start just really kind of making that distinction. It's not a wellness center position. Expect there to be
So
those types of
I think there has to be some things that are still decided within that as well. And that's why I've been hesitant to even bring that up at our other meetings, because and Becky and I both talked about that. What is this? The policies, obviously, and how the facility are going to be used have to be decided, even as we develop a game plan of what this facility is going to provide, in my opinion. And that hasn't been done. There have been a lot of discussion about what will happen in there. Everyone kind of understands the whole like sports side of it and the teams being able to come in and use it and those sorts of things. But there hasn't been any other discussion about the other parts of that building. And I think that a lot of people have different ideas about what that is. Like, what is a fitness room? Is a fitness room, does it have weights? Does it have machines? Mm-hmm. Or is it just an open space that offers fitness classes? And I think those things in general need to be decided before you really could come up with a name, and or before you come up with a business plan or how much money it's going to cost or those sorts of things, right? And that's kind of the fundraising group that's been meeting. A lot of them have been kind of asking those questions, and that's not really what the group is there for. And I completely understand that. So I think, and what I hope happens is that at some point, an off group of probably the Parks and Recreation Committee, the fundraising group committee, the Stingrays, whoever, different people from all these organizations come together to form an actual commission for that building. So that then we can start making policies, or the group can start making policies that then we know it gives us an idea then how we would be running. So that's what we're hoping that happens. I'm hoping that the fundraising group is just one leg of this larger group of people, because that's what's actually going to be important to make sure that it is run successfully. Did I give you your answer? Okay, all right. Is that it? Any other questions? Yeah, good. Well, thank you. I like those, but we should probably just add that on here as like a question time, or time for
It's like a dialogue.
and it's good. It's good to get it out because I'm not necessarily going to come out and say those sorts of things without being prompted either, because I don't know if it's important to you. And we haven't met since May, so it's been
You
quite
guys
some
been
time.
having a busy summer.
Yeah, I think everyone in general has been pretty busy. Been good.
So now it's your time.
My time. All right. Well, first, I want to introduce Jill Exco. Jill is our new recreation coordinator. So after school, full day camp, and special events. She also has served already in her 2 days. She started on Wednesday, but in her 2 days has helped us serve as the pool manager again. So she served a couple hours. Or, today was even a little bit more than that, and tomorrow as well. Due to one of our pool managers is on vacation. He took his first vacation of the year, and the other two started sports. So football started, volleyball started, and girls swimming started. So staffing is obviously a little limited right now, but we're making do, and so far been able to stay open throughout the entire summer, other than those other days that I talked about. Swim team. I got to manage actually as well on Tuesday night. Yeah, Tuesday night I got to manage, so that was kind of fun. And something different, but then I got to go umpire for 3 hours, so that wasn't fun. But yeah, so welcome Jill. I wanted her to come tonight and everyone to get to meet her. She's really hit the ground running already. I have not had time. So Matt Esser, who wasn't able to come tonight because he's doing his final tonight. It's his last one. He already graduated, he said technically, because he already passed. We had a 93% going into tonight. This was just his capstone, but he did have to finish it tonight. So he'll come to the next meeting, talk to us as well. But Jill's really hit the ground running with the after school program. Is obviously it's getting ready to start here. So getting the handbook up to date. And today's big thing was transportation, trying to figure out transportation, which I talked to Cody, who works in transportation. So we'll get that all squared away as well. But yeah, it's been a great 2 days. It's been, it's been pretty quick, but once summer's kind of come to a close, we'll have a lot of time to sit down and talk about like more of our goals and objectives, like things that we really do want to see. I already feel like she already has a handle on a lot of those things and what she's kind of her expectations are. So I'm excited to see where the program's going. So welcome and thank you for coming tonight. So if you want to say anything, go ahead. Otherwise. Yeah, that's fine.
How do you pronounce your last name?
Hechko. Okay.
See, I said it wrong.
And 90%.
Hechko. I'm gonna get it right now.
Don't you just realize that you're with the that's my middle name on Facebook. That's okay.
Why don't you tell us what the corners? Live in the village, you
Live in the village, my 3 kids, one has graduated now, moving out. His mom's not ready. And then I've got my little daughter is going to Exeter Community School as my son is going to be an 8th grader. They went all through part. They used to work with her. Working with students with special needs. Looking forward to bringing a lot of what I learned during that time to the after school program, kind of from a standpoint of knowing that the kids I work with, showing their exhaustion, all of their other emotions, that the other kids are doing it, they're just better at dealing with it. So I would like to try a couple of things with giving kids who need that things stay home. Stay in a specific place where they can have their downtime while still having sort of structured activities that will be changing. Hopefully every 2 weeks, probably every month, but just to kind of keep them engaged. And I found that a lot of times when kids are showing behaviors we'd rather not see, it's because they need a direction. And so I'm trying to figure out a good way to put some of that direction there without it being as rigid, because they just naturally sense.
Okay.
Welcome. Thank you for coming. Now you don't have to stay here anymore unless you really want to. So Just so you know.
I was gonna watch him.
there you go.
He's already started.
Fair enough.
Thank you. See you tomorrow. All right. With that, also I said Matt, but Matt Esser was hired on Monday, or started, his first day was on Monday, as our recreation athletic supervisor. So
So is it like the job equivalent of like she's Katarina and
He's Andrea.
or are they kind of-
Yep, nope, they did. We have changed the job description a little bit for Matt's position. The job description for Katarina's position pretty much stays.
They're both full-time.
They are, yeah.
Side
Yep.
relief.
It is, and I haven't onboarded anybody in 9 years really. So, and then like everything is still running right now, and so you're being pulled, and then you have meetings nonstop. It's like I feel bad for Matt because I haven't had time, like to really sit down and go over a lot of stuff. He went to the flag football meeting with me yesterday, so I got to meet other people there, and
What was that program on?
yeah,
Sorry.
I'll talk about that too. Yeah, it's good. So, I'm excited once the pool closes and like we start, getting into the more of a fall and winter guide stuff. I'm excited to be able to sit down and really, hash out like, my vision or which will then become our vision, but also what they want to hope to bring, new programming and offerings and more of their expertise. In general, like Matt surprised me in day one. He just kind of wanted to pick things up and do them, and which was awesome. That's great to see in someone. And is, younger and not necessarily had a lot of experience with a lot of the things that we're already providing. But I will say, and maybe he'd say this if he were here in his interview, the one thing that he said is I remember when you came here and pointed to me, he was a young kid and we had a new program. It was I was like going around like, why aren't there any kids on our baseball field throughout the day? Like I just thought that was weird, first summer. So the next summer I offered a Sandlot baseball program that I ran, and then we did an ultimate frisbee and then a capture the flag program as well. And he was like the first kid in there, like him and his brother and like all of their friends. And we had like 20 kids in that program. And he said, I want to be able to do that, like just like you did. Like I want to be able to be out there with the kids and like be a part of that process. So it was awesome. Yeah, it's great. Like I'm excited to see where it goes from there. So it's been a crazy summer, crazy busy summer, and I want to first, I wanted to have Aaron come here tonight. So Aaron Greenwood has been our our full day camp coordinator, taken the lead for the summer and done an amazing job. She's dealt with some crazy, I shouldn't even say crazy, that's not nice, but like some really big issues even at the program, and done a fantastic job throughout. Everything that I pretty much have asked her in regards to, paperwork and like all of the stuff that like we know we have to do, she's done. And I wish she was here because I would have said and I will do a formal thank you to her. But she's been a godsend in regard to that program for the summer. So thank her for that. And also at the pool, like our pool staff this summer has been rock stars throughout the entire summer. Like no issues, you know, I should knock on wood, but like in general, like they have picked up where other people can't. Or Muriel the other day said, I love doing flyers. Like, and I was like, hey, we're gonna do a party here on the 20th. So she went home and like made up this big flyer for it. Like just people doing more than like what they necessarily are supposed to or have to do while they're at the pool. We've had lifeguards that have picked up some manager type duties when managers can't be there. So having a short staff for the summer has been tough, but it's awesome. Like what a great group of people. So pretty excited for the pool to close, but I'm also, you know, ecstatic about the amount of work that they've put into it this year. So commend, so we close on the 20th of August. So we are having an end of the year pool party membership. So if you have a member, it's free. But our plan is to do, you know, concessions or different foods will be free for everyone that comes. Try and get rid of almost everything that we have there as well. And if you're not a member, it's and you're a resident, it's $5. So if you're not a resident, it's $6. So, but they're gonna have a bunch of games. We're gonna do. I told them like I said there are a lot of different things we've done over the years. There's been some groups that want to go overboard and like dress up and different, you know, have a theme and all those things. So we're gonna sit down on Monday and really hammer all that out and what they really want to do. But they have like their whole game set already on board there. So what they plan to do throughout the day. So it should be fun. Bags, we'll have bean bags, we'll have can jam. So like other games that people can play outside the pool area as well. So it won't just be swimming, if people want to come and do other stuff. So it should be fun. Let's see. Pickleball. I think Cody talked about pickleball. I have to second everything he said. It has been packed up there throughout the whole summer. We've heard nothing but great things about it. We have a lot of people coming from outside of the village to come and play on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. If you get a chance to drive by even on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, you will see 25 to 30 people playing, which is just awesome. And I would say a large portion of them people are not from the village. They all do that and then they all go out together to one of the restaurants and have lunch or breakfast or something else, which is really cool.
One morning I drove by at 5:46.
There's so many people.
Get out, get your blood phone.
I have been putting out on this is Playtime Scheduler. So we put on there that you can, it's free. They sign up for free. It states that, you know, even if people don't sign up on Playtime, they can come there and play because it's open play during that time. But for the most part, we haven't had any problems, which I've heard some horror stories in other communities so far about, you know, people not letting others play and fights happening and like, and yeah, they are serious pickleball players. So like I'm amazed at some of their skill sets across the board.
Did that fence issue get corrected?
Fence, yeah, everything that we asked for happened, and it's in great shape. I mean, everything worked out perfect for that. The resurfacing, the nets that went in are phenomenal. Everyone has just been like, these are amazing in general. Blake, who was here earlier tonight for architecture, he actually designed a bunch of those, and he went up and looked at that and asked me if I could do a job. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. But no, but in general, people have really enjoyed it. We have had a couple of issues with access. So the one thing I would have changed is put another gate in, which we could still do, just so that people aren't walking through courts to get to a different court. So people will be playing and, you know, they walk around court one. So we did open up the gate though in the back where the electric panel is, and that's helped people kind of get in there and be able to play. So our junior pickleball class was full for session 2. Session 1, I think, had 12 kids in it. Session 2 had 16. Jake Leslie did a great job as well, like administering that program. The kids all had a blast with it, and we've had a lot of people request doing something in after school, that sort. So an after school type program. So we'll try and do that this fall for a few sessions or something too. So
I have a quick question. We discussed reviewing like the procedure deeper as far as reserving it. Do you see any reason to change where we're at, or just leave it be?
I think you know, it's a good question. I can bring that back for all of us to at least look at again, and we can talk about it. And I can even have have some of the groups that are using it come and kind of present. Kappa, which is Capital Area Pickleball Association, it's a large group of people. They've contacted us a few times to try and start running some leagues out here. I've told them as of right now, we don't need that. We don't want to. We run our own league currently. So on Thursday nights from 6 to 8, there's a group of 16 people that have been playing pretty much all summer. And Sarah's one of them. She said it's just been great. Like a good group of people. Got to meet a lot of new people. So we're going to try and do more of that in the future too. So, let's see. This Saturday, there are 2 events happening. So we have Max Mission happening up at Bear Park. So if anyone is around, it'd be great to stop up. It's obviously a fundraiser.
I'll be there.
That's happening. Cody will be there, so that's good. We double booked. We didn't really double book, but then we had to change our date for the Mallards game. So there is a Mallards game tomorrow. There are still vouchers out on the table that are tickets for it. So, if you want to go to the game, a family of 5 will cost you about $8.75. So, cheap entertainment and for the most part of it, but I don't know how many seats are actually open for it, but, as of right now, our family's going to it. So it'd be great to see you there if you can.
Can you just remind the Max Mission people that their signs for last year? Every time I walk through Xander Park, I'm like, there it is again.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Maybe the puppies for sale sign on for kids.
Did you see those? What is that? Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Along with the lawn care yard sign, I was like, come on, people.
The
Yeah,
tree
puppies
one.
one.
Or the pup. I saw the girl putting it out the other day. Let's see. Yeah, flag football. We are ready to rock for that. Our K1 has 4 teams. Our 2nd and 3rd grade has 4 teams. We could have had 5. We just didn't have enough coaches, so that's good. We will be doing the 2nd and 3rd grade group with Middleton again this year. Seems to be a good way to do it. We have 9 teams this year, which kind of stinks, but overall, it's sitting pretty good. We have 1 4th grade team that has 12 kids on it, and then we have a combined 5th and 6th grade team as of right now. We are in need of a coach still. I think I sent out emails to everybody for 5th and 6th grade for sure. And then I'm sorry, 4th grade. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if one of the boys want to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's funny is Matt Esser and Hunter Stotts, when they were in their senior year, they coached a team for that year. So absolutely, I think it's great. It's a great way to be able to be a part of it.
Kids
They just have to
respond
come and
to
do it.
kids coaching.
Yeah.
Adults.
Yeah.
Too.
So numbers are okay. They're not great. Not out of the, I don't know how St. Francis is. Maybe they're up a little bit this year, but overall, having a team in those is good.
Football in general seems down this year. A few of our ball players backed out of it, but I don't know.
Well, there's 2 more teams of that age group. There's like,
It sounds like the 8-man is struggling to field a full team. And so then a couple other people who said they would do 8 ended up going to the 11-man in Middleton. So kind of unfortunate.
We may end up having a celebrity coach for one of ours, for one of our teams here. For flag. Yeah, he contacted me. He called me actually again tonight, and I was at the pool. I didn't even know. It'd be kind of cool to have a celebrity, especially. I couldn't imagine being the other coach on the other team.
Coaching this kid.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Yeah. We're working on the fall and winter activity guide. I had, a few pages of it done, but I wanted Jill and Matt to be able to think about other programs they want to do. And, we've had a couple of days, but we don't have it ready yet to get out. So that's kind of one of our main missions here in the next few days. And then lastly, I don't know how we've been able to continue to do this, but we have been working on a salary study for all of our full-time staff. So the village board more or less approved department heads to work together to come up with a plan at how we become competitive in the market for all of our jobs. I think we're almost there. Like we finally got to that point where I feel like it's going to be on the village board agenda for this coming Monday, or I'm sorry, the 28th, to have them, to have them look it over and kind of see where we're at. There's some pretty big adjustments for some employees, and I think overall there's some really good ways or a better understanding for staff that is currently hired about where they can go with other certifications or other providing more service for the community in different realms, which I think may help us be able to at least recruit and hopefully retain. That's the goal throughout this all. So if you're around on the 28th or you want to see it beforehand, feel free to. It'll be in the village board packet. But if you'd like to come support it or even have some questions about it at the meetings, that'd be great. It's kind of what we're looking for from anyone is to give us feedback on it to this point. So we've been using communities like Waunakee, Verona, Middleton. For the most part, for the majority of it, our goal throughout that whole thing was to get to like the 70th percentile of those communities. So we know that we're not going to be at their percentile, their 100th percentile, because they're a lot larger than we are. So our goal was, we thought 70 percentile, 70 to 80, because staff that's been here for 8 or 9 years shouldn't be necessarily leaving for the same position, making more money in year one. And that 70 to 80th percentile is where we found that kind of area that it made sense. So we'll see, we'll see if we're able to do it. Obviously the village in general is getting more money in shared revenue. It's roughly $99,000 increase from next year's budget from the state, which helps out a lot. Staff's asking that money be used for staffing going forward. So we'll see. Any questions? I always look at Jen first.
I know, you're like, and
Hey, they're always good. They're always good questions. They're good questions.
Alzheimer to maybe the other celebrity coach.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd be great.
I think it was all speech.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Champions run, right? That'd be
Competition.
unbelievable. That'd be super awesome.
I would be so nervous if I were on your team. I'd be like, coach, I'm gonna let you down.
All the moms.
Yeah, right.
Jim's
So true.
Jim's a great coach. He's got a way to get kids to relate and just seeing how obviously he did it at a level up here, how he can scale it back and do it down here. That would be tremendous.
So we have our meeting on the 21st. So the night we're supposed to have park board.
I feel like if you had certain coaches, you could start like charging admission, revenue.
Right. I was more thinking about when they go and or play other coaches and be like, what? But yeah, so that's all I have for now, I think.
Move on to the discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of May 15th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from May 15th, 2023.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? So, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and possible action regarding boardwalk lighting at HM Zander Community Nature Park.
All right. So first and foremost, I want to apologize for not getting you all of this information prior to the meeting, or much prior. Obviously, I tried to go through this morning. I was having major problems yesterday with our shared drive. I don't know if any of you have been able to read my memo, but the memo more or less states that, so how this kind of got brought up is that there were some complaints that were provided to the police department. And so Tony had taken that information to one of his public safety committee meetings. And the complaints were actually complaints and or someone had fallen as well. But complaints were that it's too dark throughout Zander Park and people are trying to, still walk it at night, and that we need lights, security lighting of some sort down there. So they discussed it at their meeting, back in January. And they made a recommendation to the village board that lights be added to, that, that stretch, or that entire park, that entire path. So in March, the village board took that up, had that discussion, and obviously, there's a lot that goes into adding lights to that particular space. So Jay had more or less, or the board, wanted it to be pushed back to finance to talk about what, different grants and or funding options there would be for the project, is what I had heard. So in June, the finance committee took that up and had discussions about it and came up with a whole bunch of grant options that could be applied for, providing there was a plan for it. And so at the June meeting, the finance committee made a recommendation that this be moved to the Parks and Recreation Committee to, more or less assist with possible funding is what the action said. I didn't get a clarification on that because I asked Bobby and she wasn't really sure. What I'm going to more or less state or recommend is that we come up with we don't worry about the funding for this right now, but we more or less do the work, or this committee do the work to find out what lighting options are there and or what are the best options. So I'm sure, or hopefully a few of you have been to places that have solar lighting that's being used in parks or in trailways, different areas. And it's more or less like when I see those, I usually try and take pictures or I get in contact with them to see if they like them or if it's something that, something that we could do in the future. So I have a whole bunch of pictures from years of people like on lights. So I will go through them and look at them, but I'd like for you as well, if possible, to try and, if there are other places that you've been that you're like, those are great, they work really well. Then, we could bring those back or bring some options back to our next meeting and then kind of dive into the photometrics of them. They all have photometric plans that you can see with the one that I had given you in the Sol document. Sol could be a great option for us as well because those work really well over the crossing. But I feel like, if we had 3 to 4 to 5 options, that'd be great. Ideally, this type of work is done by people like Blake that was here earlier. And that may be the motion that we go with or something that we do, saying like, we need someone with more expertise to provide us with an actual engineered plan that would work for lighting. We tried to have that included in both phase 1 and phase 2 of the trail project, and it got nixed on both of those as added costs. And I will say at that time, solar wasn't as readily available and wasn't as cheap. Now there's competition, there's other options. However, I will say that that's what people said about the solar ones. Those were really expensive though. But those have worked out really well for our project. But I think in general, if we knew,
Where did you name how those ones are?
so these are at the at-grade railroad crossing, the boardwalk, right behind the fire station.
Yeah.
Those were mandated by the railroad
Right.
commission.
Those look pretty good.
Can we have questions?
Absolutely.
No.
No, go ahead.
So, the safety committee, turn this over to finance, turn this over to Parks and Rec to identify the best safety lights for the trail. And so I can say like, I really like these decorative lights that are brown and they kind of sit on the ground and they light up the path. And I think that would be the recommendation.
You could, yeah, I think that could be an option.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you're saying. And I know why you're saying, and I get that. And I want to stop that. So what's happened now is everyone keeps pushing it along, right? I'm not right with that. That's why committees, in my opinion, have been formed or are formed, is it just keeps going around in circles and no one knows what the next step is. So I'm just going to say that I'm going to be the project manager on this in general. And I'm going to say, I'd like to have community input on the project. What kind of lighting do we want to see? Do you want to see? reach out to your neighbors, reach out to anyone and say, this is what we're thinking. How much light do we want throughout that area? That's another
kind of what I'm thinking
portion
of
of
the
this, right?
spikes. Is it
How
up
high?
ahead,
Yep.
so it shines down?
Yeah.
Is it lower just to like the path?
Yep, so
Are we
if you see
comfortable with
these give you more or less the height of the pole and for best lighting. And the way that the lens is set inside the light provides you with more of a
It's one as opposed to a spot.
correct. Yes. So, in talking to lighting experts, like they'll be able to give you that. They'll be able to give us that pretty quickly. But I think in general, we want to know, how many lights is it going to take, right? Like if we have the whole thing lit up, that's, I could tell you right now, that's going to be like 28 lights, just for the boardwalk portions of it. Is that really what we want? I don't know, but I think that's what we all need to kind of decide. And since this has been pushed from public safety to the village board to finance to park and rec, we make a recommendation on the actual specs. No one else decided on those things. So we make the recommendation on those specs, on the height, on all those things. And if the village board or who we make that recommendation to don't like that, then we ask them what
your spots?
why did you push this to us without those sort of things in line already done?
Right.
So,
So if anybody uses that?
What do you mean?
How do you feel about it?
I mean, I'm usually watching with my husband, so it's usually fine, but I can see if you were like a woman riding by yourself, you might.
I could see it getting more use if it was.
Yeah, I mean, when we walk, we don't usually need
Yeah,
it. Exactly.
we use it a lot and like, I didn't love that it's dark, especially like this summer you go out there and it's just like fire. It's it's amazing, but yeah, I like April with never. Or she's even creeped up,
Yeah. I don't think I'd ever.
that doesn't like cross my mind, but like I understand it, but like I wouldn't personally want to see it flooded up. I think that would kind of,
Every 40 feet or so, like, so if there's light here, I
Yeah.
can see light there.
So,
There's
yeah,
light
so you're
here.
not-
or if there was something more like what you were getting at, where I know that like. We tried the cheaper options once upon a time on that sidewalk.
Yeah.
But like something that like,
So maybe you have to,
basically lit the trail, but like lit the boardwalk.
almost like a street light where you have it every so often, and then you go street light type thing, like a little small one.
I personally hate not like the street light option, like the ones that are by, the tracks, like, yeah, they light it up.
Parking lot.
Yeah.
I understand that, like, to me, like, I can just walk on Bourbon. Well,
Street
street,
lit.
street. but
yeah, I think,
Is it a safety from a tripping hazard? Just
There are
see-
tracks, yeah.
Right, or is it
Yeah.
a safety because you're scared that there could be an intruder or somebody that's going to jump you on it, which is
I would
totally
think
different
like-
like lighting.
mhm.
Like not fully lit up, just like a little bit of light.
Mood lighting.
But with that, that's solve it for the people that are afraid.
That's right.
Well, that may be another question.
Like what's the objective?
I think in general, I can see what you're saying. I don't think that's been brought up a lot about the whole intruders that are being.
Oh,
You feel
I think for the most part, the complaints that came in were based on safety, in regards to like tripping or falling off the boardwalk or,
There's no.
correct. Or,
This wouldn't even be the boardwalk, right?
no,
We're
this would
talking
be,
the whole
Correct.
Park and out.
correct. And so your idea, you had brought up, the little bollard deals that kind of shine down. I love that idea in the areas that have the railing,
Yeah, that's.
but that doesn't help us in the areas that don't. And,
Which is the flag top.
no, which is the boardwalk even. So phase one of the boardwalk, so it should be on the north side. Those just have the railings. I mean, they're, so wheelchairs can't roll off them. There's no actual railings.
That little ledge.
We could try, you could try something that way. I think the nice thing about putting it, like the bollard style on the poles, and maybe we do poles and those shine down too. But on the poles is that it shines down.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
not
it could
shining
be a
up.
mix, like, around the creek is well lit, and then that stretch from the fire station. you know, Market Street is like more like Louis,
Yes,
and
that's
that's more.
All I know is we need an option that we're able to shut them off. Because we have our candlelight hike that runs down there and that pretty much defeats the entire purpose of it. Or we just don't do it there anymore.
Or is it
They
super
use space.
complicated to have an option to
Well, these we can actually turn on and off if we needed to.
turn? Could you hit a button that?
So these are on our phone, you know.
So we are looking, solar.
So I think this is great. Like, this is what we're talking about, right? And I think, solar is absolutely our only option, mainly because you're in wetlands. And so the price of electricity, will be an issue for sure. You'd need conduit, you know, throughout
Oh,
that
of
entire
course.
area.
Yeah.
The other aspect of this in talks of what light we would want to choose is going to be installation. Because there are a number of pinch points now that we most definitely wouldn't be able to get equipment into. So that would have to be, you know, part of our talks too. You know, like the pole option that's on here, you know, that takes a big footing. And I don't know how we would get into that space to be able to get concrete on stuff now that the boardwalk's in place, unless we took the boardwalk out to then put lights in, which is what I said. And I remember back in 2015.
The cost effectiveness too, because Sienna Park is flooded.
So,
So, you know.
and these aren't, it wouldn't be warranted. Or I wouldn't have insurance either, so it's in the floodplain. So, does everyone kind of get, like, I mean, even just looking at different options, if now that it's in your mind, we can talk about it at the next meeting.
Compile your,
Absolutely.
Do you have any
I will.
recommendations to check out? Like,
You know, there was a company out of Canada,
but I mean, as
That-
far as.
oh,
physical
parks or
places.
around here, no. I mean, Matt, if you go down University, they have those on the trail, like by a hospital and all that, but those have massive, you know, yeah. Right, aesthetics is part of it, yeah.
What's that park in Mills, that college splash pad is off?
Yeah, Lakeview Park, they have bollards too.
Okay.
And so the company from Canada that I got a quote from years ago, they had a solar bollard option. And it was like, to do our entire park was like $238,000. So I was like, okay, that's not gonna. But maybe it's cheaper now. Like, I haven't looked into that lately, but we were just out in Estes Park and they have an area that goes, down through like where their like lake is, kind of in the middle of their town. Estes Park. And they had the bollard systems there, and they looked great. And it was very dim lighting. It wasn't like, you know, kind of blow you away, which is nice. But
I'm gonna put one, see, so.
Oh, they'll have
Yeah.
yeah,
What are our trip
Funny stop, I gotta take a picture.
oh, I have a lot of. I always like make sure now, especially like playgrounds and stuff, like kids aren't there. Sometimes like that's super. Yeah, but I love going to places and seeing like, oh, like even entrances to parks now. That's kind of been a big thing of like how they sign it and how they like, you know, they usually have a lot of natural, like the nice ones are like natural landscaping, big rocks and boulders, keep cars out of, you know, for like your pathways. And then some of them have like pergolas and other stuff kind of going on. So I'm thinking about that for Sandy Park.
So when do you want our findings?
I mean, even at our next meeting, I think this can kind of be a running topic for us for a few meetings here. Once we have a few options, or, you know, if you can get me some options, then I'll go ahead and do the work to figure out the costs and how many we would need and all those things with the reps and people, and then bring those back. And then I think at that point, we should be able to make a recommendation to the board.
Can you start to recommend companies?
What's that?
Or you started to recommend companies?
I have a few. I can email about to you that I have, that I know are good. The solar option is it's changed so much even like the last year, with different startup companies and people that are coming around, but there are some bad ones out there as well. I did look on Amazon just because I was like, what do they have? Like the ones you were talking about earlier on the path, those weren't terrible. They still worked. I think those are battery operated. I don't remember. Yeah, we'd hit them, bikes would run them over, and that was a guy that did them. He lived the one that lives next to Ice Age Trail, he put them out there every day. Or quite often, he'd pick them up when they were gonna mow and all kind of stuff, yeah, but Amazon does have some options that I was looking at, just like if we did a smaller light, like
I
just to
own
try.
those. I mean,
Yeah,
I
they
know?
have street light.
Yeah.
Not to,
Yeah, and we have two of those right now. That's what I was thinking, we could try them actually on the tennis court when you talked about that. Those are solar, we could see how those would work too, but those are pretty big, but they shine down at least, so.
But then you have to put a 40 in.
A pole, yeah.
well, and it doesn't have to be, I mean, pictures in person are nice, but you can type solar lights.
Yeah, there are so many options, yeah,
Some ideas
lots of options.
point you to what you're looking for.
So we're good for moving on.
Yeah, I think everyone has an idea. What they're gonna do.
Where's this page? There it is. Discussion regarding the Cross Plains Pool current conditions report to the Pool Feasibility Subcommittee provided by Architecture LLC.
I wasn't gonna make Blake stick around for both of these, but he did come tonight. Obviously, you probably saw him. Most of you actually were a part of it, so that's good. But he did give us his preliminary report for the current conditions of our facility. I'll give you the cliff notes for the most part. I have it up here. Just need to find it. Sorry. I think it's
If you can summarize it by saying it wasn't anything we weren't expecting.
And he's
Yeah.
updating a copy of this, and then he'll give you a copy of this, and then maybe you'll circulate it with us, or sure.
Yeah, yep. So he'll update it. I'll send it out tonight after this meeting to everybody so you can read through it. But overall, there's a number of ADA issues. I'm sorry, I was gonna. Number of ADA issues. He did stop at like 6 bullet points because he said, to be quite honest with you, your current conditions, it doesn't make a lot of sense to come up with all these problems for you, because the 5 issues that you have here are going to be really hard to comply with. But with that being said, those issues could be, they could come to compliance. There are just a lot of different changes we would have to make. So
You putting a lot of lipstick on it.
correct, which we all kind of knew, but it was good to hear that from someone else, someone out there. So, the entry to the pool is an area that we already knew we had an issue with. There's like a 4-inch step when you walk in on both the men's and women's side. We have been able to make that work by just bringing people that are unable to, that are either in wheelchairs or don't like the step. They come around and come through the emergency exit to get into the facility. So it's worked. However, it's not ideal. And that's more or less what he's kind of stating in there. The big one are the men's and women's bathrooms. He did talk about that we have the right number of fixtures, which is kind of crazy, being that when our pool was built, most of them back then don't have as many fixtures as ours do. We have 4 in each restroom, and that's actually what we need for the current code setup for allowing 302 people into our facility. However, all of the stalls in the men's and the women's don't meet compliance at all. None of them. We don't have any that actually meet any ADA usage in there, which we knew that before, but that's an issue. The showers don't meet any ADA as well. One thing that he didn't talk about is when you come into the building and you go to make a left turn for the men's or a right turn for the women's, that width is like 29 inches, which in compliance we need 36. So that in itself doesn't meet either. And I'm surprised he didn't have that in here. I'm gonna mark that down actually.
I was thinking of that too. You feel like moms are stronger just trying to
Yeah,
get in there.
Right.
People are.
I can't be dads.
Have you seen a lot of people with strollers? I don't know. I've never.
I've driven a minivan.
Never been on the men's days.
It's a real problem.
Yeah. All the time.
so obviously that's issue. One of the other big ones is the cross slope between the pool house and the vessel is not in compliance. So that we are at an 8% slope. You're only allowed 2%. And the only way to remedy that, which he had brought up, would be to cut that down, which then just gives you a larger step into the bathhouse, which would also be a larger step on that and then going into the bathrooms most likely as well. So you'd have a trip hazard. So though he kind of stopped with ADA, he said he could have went on for a while, which I may ask him to add some of those other ones that he's talking about, because I do think it's important.
I think
Some
it's
of the
trying to
council
install
versus
some-
school code.
Right.
You want them to
if you
do
could
that.
hammer on the ADA a little bit more for the village board level, because.
Yeah.
It's cold. You can only get away with so much.
Some of the other stuff is pool codes. The hose bib, I mean, that's a pretty small one. I think he did touch on that a little bit. You need 125 feet, I believe it is, to go. So we would need to be able to reach 125 feet on this side and 125 feet on this side of the pool. So the pool deck. So if you have an incident, which we had this year that I've never had ever, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. We had a fecal incident that I've never,
No.
an 8-year-old child that I could have swore was a 300-pound man. But it literally was all over the pool deck, not in the pool, but all over the pool deck and all over the men's bathroom. So that was fun. Yeah. So, having enough hose or having enough, being able to reach all the spots on the deck was obviously could have been an issue. We know that, so we have enough hose up there, but that's not in compliance. Restroom floors, epoxy coated, he did touch on that. You have to have a 0.5, so yeah, 0.5 grit. Ours, we do not have a 0.5 grit anymore, especially in the walk lanes. We've had people actually slip on those and tell us that they've slipped on them. So I know that they don't need that anymore. Obviously, the wading pool has been closed this entire year, and we didn't get relicensed for it. There's broken tile all on the top. There's a leak, a really bad leak. We have no equalizing line. So when the water would go below the skimmers, the pump would go dry, which is illegal. You can't have that. There's a lot of things in that wading pool, but we haven't had it open, so that we would have to actually take out completely and redo to even open the facility again. So we need stamp drawings and approval from the state to do so.
What was the amount? What's 15,000 gallons a day?
Yeah, so we are losing about 15,000 gallons a day. That I will say is up from previous years. So our leak has just gotten bad again, or a leak. I would almost guarantee that leak is in our drain boards again. And probably I believe I would also say it's probably in our vessel. Like somewhere in our vessel, we're losing some water. But that is also an area of problem. Jason talked about the clarity of our water. He came in and scuba dived on Wednesday. And
one side of the pool isn't getting.
Yeah.
Basically isn't getting.
So the way that pools are set up, especially with BGBA, is that 80%, and he used that term, but like 80% of your water filtration has to come through your gutters. So 20% of your water comes from the bottom, like in the drain. 80% due to like pool code, you want that it has to come through your gutters. The way that our pool is sitting right now, if you were to look at it, the east side of our vessel is down lower than the west side, which never was the case. I mean, it's gotten a lot worse. So the drains all on the east side are full of water. We'll have 2.5 inches, 3 inches of water in there constantly at all times. Whereas the east side will have absolutely none. It'll be zero. So we're probably not getting, he said 80%, but we're not getting 80% of the water to filter back in, and we're losing water as well. So that's part of our clarity problems. I also think that our filters aren't keeping up. They're not doing as good of a job as they should, which those were, getting new ones already anyway. So that's not a huge problem, but that is an issue. That's concerning as well.
15,000 gallons of water that we're losing a day, right? For evaporation, we would expect that to be more like 3,000.
So he
Yeah.
said 3.
Yeah, and then it's their belief, their opinion is that it is saturating, like where is that water going? But it's basically hitting the ground, sitting in the ground, and it's just
The water's in,
saturated,
yeah.
oversaturated.
The water's in the ground. There may be a case like he talked about, we talked about it, because that spot's wet often, that's by the
Yeah.
deep end. I would be really surprised if that is what's happening. It could be, but I'd be surprised. In general, if you've ever dug in your backyard, if you go down deep, you've done that, although you're up on a hill, you're gonna run into glacial till. You're running into rock. You're not running into dirt, right?
Right.
So most of the time in glacial till areas, that water is gone. It doesn't sit there. Groundwater in general in the village has always been very low. Until the 2018 floods. Obviously, that brought everything up a little bit more. But prior to that, if you were to dig even after it rained, you're not finding groundwater. And it could be the problem. It'd be interesting. I'd like to, if depending on where we go with this, it'd be interesting to like dig out that area and see if it's really wet.
You know, you can see like. What do you want to call it, like the holes.
Yeah, there are a number of areas around the pool deck that are that way though. And I don't know. I mean, there's something happening. You're right. There is something happening. And I don't know exactly what that'd be, but we've had other areas of the deck actually it was a lot lower. So it's sunk down more towards the library side. So we had Fish Concrete come in, they did their holes and brought it all back up and it hasn't settled again. So I don't know if there's really that much water there, but it is an issue, obviously, in general. So, and losing water is never good. Last time this happened, when we got to this many gallons, this is about where we were before. We busted out all the deck and tried to find the leak, and we found 2 spots. We sleeved those with a rubber like neck rather than the plastic that they had before. In which we would probably do again on all of them if we found that. But just because the plastic, you got freeze thaw in the winter here, and that tends, no matter what the schedule of it is, it tends to break on us, or break through time, depending on how this works.
Well, Virginia was also talking about how we have our chemicals and the acid.
Correct.
Big
That's always
storm.
been a huge
It's
problem.
dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Search tank access, OSHA violation, it's dangerous.
Yes.
It's almost spelunking into every summer
Yeah.
for our employees.
Yeah,
We do it twice a year, right?
Well, and I was
usually.
in the swim team, family, I'm going, oh wait, we're not, the blocks are in that code, and did you see the one that said, you didn't talk about it, the flip turns, did you see that one?
Yes, that's what I mean. They were like, oh.
So I was like, oh, so, all the swimming that we do.
Yeah, they shouldn't have blocks.
Say it,
Pool's not deep enough.
interesting.
So overall, I mean, and I'll send it so you can read through it as well. I don't need to go through each one, I don't think, but in general, overall, he's stating exactly what we thought, and that's what I feel like we needed. We needed a consultant. We needed someone that was impartial to what we decide to do, and someone that's been to a lot of facilities. So Jason didn't talk a lot tonight, but he was our pool chemistry person, and I mean, with Caraco, any problem I ever had, I learned a lot about pools from him, and he knows, in my opinion, everything about him. He didn't talk a lot tonight, but he's been to hundreds, if not thousands, of swimming pools over the years, commercial swimming pools over the years, and so for him, when Blake sent me the report, I actually talked to both of them. I talked to Jason afterwards, and he said, like, it's in worse shape than I actually thought it was. He hasn't been here for a few years now, but he's surprised that we're even able to keep running and functioning from time to time. So
MacGyver effort.
yeah, MacGyver, and I'm part MacGyver, but I give a lot of that credit to Public Works guys. Like, they come up with a lot of those solutions. Dane as well. I mean, the amount of hours that he spent, and that's something he didn't talk about in here, but we tracked our hours the last few years, about, especially for him, inside that vessel, and he's well over 2 weeks, like, of just working inside the pool, because there's just so much cleaning, there's so much tiling, and they're all things that that's not what we do. So you do it once a year, and if you asked him to get rid of actually, I think you asked both of us, but if you asked him to get rid of one thing in his job, I guarantee you point at the pool. just because it's a pain in the butt.
Mhm.
I would too, yeah, but. Yeah, I'll send this out. Overall, he did give us then at the end, kind of this preliminary recommendation, and these all are just like, this is the kickoff tonight. So he just wanted to have that kickoff and discussion. Scenario A would be, he would recommend that we would replace our main pool vessel, in its current footprint. He'd replace all the mechanical and all the filtration systems, which we already have the filtration side of it, but he'd replace all the facility lighting. That was a part of it too. Our current photometrics. He didn't do one, but he said wouldn't meet the needs for safety throughout our facility. And it also, we don't have any floodlights inside the vessel, which is something that's mandated now. He would also recommend that we replace all of our fencing. There's a lot of barbs along the top, and some of it's even raised up. A lot of it is rusted throughout. And he thought, in general, I actually didn't want him to take it out because I didn't want to give my own personal opinion. But he said retain the existing pool house shell, and I thought, why would we do that?
That in most cases you have like a central entrance.
Right, and we can't do that. Yeah, with the way the headers are in our facility, that would be kind of tough. But maybe that could be done. I don't know. I thought it's too small too. Like our current staffing area is like way too tiny. Could you add on to that building maybe if you revamped where the pool went? But anyways, it's in there. But that was one of his scenarios. He would not recommend that scenario based on cost estimates. And that's what we want to hear from him. I think in general, we want that to be the story that's actually provided. His real opinion is that that shouldn't be
preliminary recommendations, it's like preliminary solutions. And
Correct.
He's got his
own recommendation.
recommendations.
That's a good point. I should actually tell him to.
Part of the two being asbestos remediation, that's. Well,
Sorry, I'm just adding that so I tell him that. I think that's really good. So then scenario B was to reimagine a new pool complex on the current site. So what does that look like? What are all the amenities that the community is going to want and or need? What size of pool do we want? We talked about it, but those things need to be kind of reimagined in that space as an option, which is all the things that we've already talked about too, and I believe was even part of our RFP with him. And then the last one is to demolish the existing vessel, move the site over to Beekner, over to Bear, and then repurpose that site, whether it be expanding into more of a neighborhood park and splash pad, which we've talked about as well, which I did not give him any of those things. So that was kind of nice too, to hear that from him. Parkitecture is a park planning company. He's the owner, and so he does a lot of this stuff already with parks in itself. So I thought that was good to hear the idea of having something else in a splash pad or, expanding the park use area. So that was great. So from here, I think he'll put together more of an idea. I mean, he may not come up with actual cost estimates. I don't think for one, it doesn't sound like anymore. And he's going to need more information for the other ones. But from here, he more or less wanted to know, like, what do we want kind of going forward?
But put something like starting point there. We're not gonna box them in because we know that there's factors that will influence that.
Right.
But just to give that ballpark starting point
kind
of
of like
where we're starting at, sort of with each of these scenarios. So
like a
that
car commercial starting at 24, as shown 36.
Yeah. Because I think overall, let's say, and I threw out numbers and he's like, I didn't say those numbers, but let's just say this. Let's say our original estimates for redoing that building are like, I'm just throwing out $2, right? And so we then find that the maximum number we could spend would be $7. Well, the maximum that we could spend on a new facility was $7. So that's probably the route you go, right? Like in general, if you were to build on your own or do something on your own, knowing that you could have a lot of issues for the current site that you're trying to use.
I was encouraged by him saying that they've successfully do a close down, tear out, rebuild and up by Memorial Day. Like,
Yeah,
he was pretty confident.
That
I-
surprised me. That really surprised me.
I was actually kind of shocked how quick that the Pioneer Point one opened up,
Mhm.
because they had it poured in the late
It did
fall.
open, well, and it was like, cause I worked right by there,
Yeah.
and it was like, they're working on it, they're working on it, and then all of a sudden it was just open. I'm
Yeah.
like, yesterday they were working on it, and today it's open.
I think we need to change our fee structure. There's a $1,600 a year for a membership.
One of the kids that rides one of the buses said it costs his family $38 a year or a day to be members there. So I'm assuming that includes golf, everything is it.
Oh, no. No, golf is separate.
Yeah, because, I mean, Center Madison, they're like 3,000-5,000 dollars. And if you wanted to do swim team, that's.
I'm sure if we get a new pool, those fees are gonna quadruple.
There's asbestos in the existing building that when you start the demo, that's all gonna get reviewed. Technology drill permanently in the route or whatever the terminology is.
Which is not new.
In the plastic. We've had that for probably 8 years. Some kid, that's what happens when people swim in a lake and they don't shower or maybe didn't wash a swimsuit before or they were down in the creek and they came up and jumped in the pool. That's how it gets. I will just because he's there every day. So I'll send this out to you, and kind of keep you posted on game plans and like where he sees this going next to, like.
Is the objective to provide at least the analysis portion of that, is that what's included to the village board, in the next meeting, or is that, are you feeling a little uneasy about that?
No, I feel good. The only thing that I worry about is timing of it based on, the next meeting has like, so much on the agenda already. And with budgets usually take a long time to discuss and kind of go over, and we have salary on there and those always take a long time. So I don't know if I'll have, because I would like him to present that. So I think I'll have him present one more time with the group. And I think next time we'll probably try and do a combined meeting so that way everyone will be a part of that. I was gonna do that for this one, but he had to be here. His was at 6 and I had already set these up, so. But
Yeah, if we don't get it to the board, I'm sure we can bring it up and just like, hey, we heard this and there's pretty much no renovation option. It's either knock down, rebuild, or build on.
sound good? Anyone have any questions?
All right, discussion regarding the 2024 Parks Recreation and Aquatics operating budget.
All right, so I provided you a short little memo and the budget itself, that I submitted to our finance department. So we were given a direction of 1% increase for our operating budget for next year. I'm sorry, that number's wrong. That was the original number. I apologize. So that number's wrong, but the 1647 is the increase into our parks and recreation budget for next year. $1,600. So when you hear people talk about their taxes going up, it wasn't because of our department, right? No, in general, that's a direction that's given from the village president. And, I think his big thing this year was wanting to, and that does not include staffing. So, salaries or anything benefits wise or any of those sorts of things. So that gets taken out of the budget. And then we have $1,600 to kind of work with in regards to programming and, other expenses, our soft expenses, obviously for rec and for aquatics, we try and put into fees. So if our revenues are able to increase, if we're able to find, program costs stay stagnant, but maybe the price went up a little bit, we have some money to work with in regards to some of those other, shouldn't be soft costs. So we'll implement that in. I did not make any changes to those though this year because I don't know where we're gonna be at for programming, come, next year, come next spring. I see us at least meeting where we currently are at, obviously. And I am really hoping we go above that. And when we go above that, we try and use that money, or we actually need part of that money, obviously, to pay for some of the program expenses. But there's usually also a little bit extra in there then because doing a budget in general like this, you don't know if you're gonna have 10 kids or if you're gonna have 40 kids or, so that changes the amount that it would actually cost at the end of the day. And that money can often be found in the revenue portion of the budget, which is tiny. I don't know why. Sorry.
Who would make this fee schedule? Is this current or is this what you?
Yeah, so that in the fee schedule, or Cody brought up here. Fee schedule, this is what gets put into the village fees. So programs don't go necessarily into this, but the fee schedule itself is a larger form that the community has. So this includes like building inspection costs, those sorts of things. So all departments. And I always try and add those in so that you guys see them for this is what they were in 2023 and what I recommended for 2024. So the only way that I normally provide these for you in an increase is if we see an increase in the expense level. So like we used up a bunch of more utilities or we use, like those sorts of things. I may recommend that we increase some of our programming costs. The only other time I've done that is when I see Middleton's or I see other communities around us and they're charging like 3 times what we are, or twice. That's what happened for pool rentals. Then we increase those as well. We just try and be in that same market as other people. So what that does is when you increase those, it should alleviate a little bit of the tax levy that you're needing because you're bringing in more money in another area. Right? So, but for next year, I didn't have any increases in those first semester. So if you've heard, it's too expensive or it's too cheap, or
we rent shelters.
not if in comparison to other communities, I'd say not very often. Graduation time is a big one that we've done it. Or we'll do it. Mary's Place gets rented more than any of the other ones. I could see the new one being rented, more going forward. Although the municipal shelter though, so at the pool gets rented a lot just because of the pool parties. Right? So that's part of it, but it's all part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think unless there's something to do, it's really in the shelter or the shelter area, there's really just this outdoor space, right?
Yeah, right.
That's what you're
Right. Yeah, there
is
isn't.
Like if you rent Mary's Place, you get the ball field is included, same with the large venue.
It's included providing you don't want it groomed. If you want it groomed, that's the extra day field rental. So if you want it groomed, then use that.
Yeah, that's what I was, so the pool and Mary's Place, the shelter rentals are the same as what else do you have shelters? I'm trying to think. That's it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bear, and then municipal, yeah. Yeah, we don't rent out any other shelters.
No, there's,
But I do see a typo because the pool rental fee is actually $250.
yeah.
So I'm sorry for that. I would change that.
I was like, you can rent the pool for
That's what it was.
The pool improvement is just added to annual memberships, but you don't do anything, or do you add a little bit to daily passes to help with the?
So yeah, that's been talked about, or we've had that discussion in-house before. The issue you have, I feel now, is like where our prices are based on what our facility provides. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have any amenities and things. So you go to Middleton and you have a lot of things that you can do in there. And I think they charge $4 and don't have non-resident fees. So we're not far off of that. Keeping it at $1 is huge, I will tell you, because when you put 50 cents in there or a quarter or 75 cents, it is the biggest pain in the butt to count all of that money daily, right, when we get it. So we've kept that, like, kind of tried to keep that at the dollar amount. We also have a maximum for residents and a maximum for non-residents. So it's not posted on there either, but the maximum for a resident is $12. Maximum for a non-resident is $20. So, you know, if you're counting up all this and you brought 5 kids, you'd be maxed out at 12, and we wouldn't charge you the full 16. That makes sense.
Bought a family membership this year and my kids have been there twice.
The kids have a
Haven't
my
been
family membership every year. That's why we're
Sophia's
checking on
been
the
there.
pool improvement. Huh?
Sophia's been there.
Well, a little bit.
To work.
For reasons.
She's helped us out.
I mean, you know, like, yeah, I mean, it's more of it's a contribution.
Yeah.
To the community.
Yeah, and we're right around the same memberships. I think we're at 202 for the year. I plan to do like a overview at the end of the year this year. Kind of, these are our numbers. There's a little packet kind of shows you our year. But we're not gonna, and we're lucky to have people that do look at it that way, but we're not going to get a lot of new memberships with the current facility, right? And especially not having a waiting pool or an area for kids that are, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 and under. So, and our current one wasn't really bringing anyone in either because it's 2,000 gallons of water, you know, and it's.
Yeah, another thing, because I know when we did my kids' party, it was kind of a pain in the ass to figure out how many kids or like adults were part of the party that had to pay. And then so the staff had to try to tally it up. And,
Wait.
and
Did you rent the pool?
no,
Oh, that's because you did it that. That's right. You guys did it
you know,
differently.
and I don't know if that's something that's common or whatever.
Not common. So normally for a rental, you'd pay the $250 flat, and you have the shelter and the pool facility, but it has to be from 6 to 8 p.m. on a.
That was where the issue
Yeah, 'cause I think your
was.
wife
We
had
wanted
called
to do
in.
it. We did it in the afternoon, we started. It was a pain for them to tally it all up and then,
Figure it out.
yeah, I mean, they were afraid that we were leaving, so they came to chase me down.
Oh.
Because they thought they saw me leaving to take the kids out or something.
Swimming
We were
ditch.
putting something
You were doing the
up.
swimming ditch. That's
Were
funny.
they collect?
Yeah, okay.
Blind kid?
I don't remember, but they all have to give them like. Pizza.
I feel like you can make.
True.
So
Yes.
whatever you have.
Especially swim team usually leaves a lot of theirs like after practice, you know,
Yeah.
and they'll be quite a bit left over for them, which is good. But
All right, so you got a motion on this?
no, I don't. I just like for you to see this and look at it and know that we're having a $1,600 increase. So if there is an area next year that you're like, whoa, you guys are way over budget, it's like, well, because we had $1,600 to work with. And that's kind of the part that we're at. Like in my 18 years here, I have never, I don't believe, I know I've never went over budget. Like I've been under budget a lot. And I've never been over budget. So I think we're probably going to be starting to get to the point where some of these line items are over budget because in essence, like this is a phantom budget. If you're only given 1% every year, I think last year was 3%, which is fine, but you're in a year of 9% inflation. So you start, so where I've been lucky is that in park maintenance is one of my largest line items. And I know that it used to be broken out. So there were like 6 different things. So there's trees, there's playground wood chips, you know, there's all these other things. Well, years ago, they changed the budget and put all those things together. I still have mine broken out in my own Excel sheet, so I know what we have in there. But then there's a lot of years where I'm like, all right, I'm only getting 1 truck of wood chips rather than 3, knowing that all the parks need them, but we'll try and get it into next year. You just keep getting further behind. But I get it, you know, like there's only so much money that we have and can do. So that's what we do as department heads and good stewards of tax money. It's just, as we keep building parks and keep building playgrounds and keep doing things, those have to be discussions about how we add that into some of these areas. So, But yeah, I mean, it just, like I said, it's something for you to be able to have and look at and know what our budgets are. I think it's good for the community to see it too and see kind of on some sense, like what we're spending money on. So,
Why are we, I know it's been a long meeting, but we haven't been a couple months, but on the expenses, why is there uniform listed twice, but maybe listed different, I don't know.
yep, so uniform, so yeah, I'll give you, I should at some point do this. So
Yeah,
55200 is parks.
Okay.
So that's just designated towards parks, period. 55300 is rec. So that's designated towards recreation only. And then 5420 is pool only. So I have 3 different budgets. And so that's why you'll see uniform, and uniform. So that's for staffing. So part-time staff. So rec, obviously we need shirts for staff. We also need that for parks as well. So Dane is our full-time parks maintenance employee, and we have 2 part-time staff members. They go through shirts like crazy. And then the pool, we actually pay for shirts for everyone, so you have to. And we pay for this year. I paid for their swimsuits as well. So
So.
I know. But I was trying to find ways that I could incentivize people want to work for us rather than going to other places. And that's one of them, because everyone makes them pay usually for their own suits.
Under rec printing.
Yep.
That's no longer a physical printer guide. So what is that?
As it wasn't this year, we don't know for sure. I may end up going back to printing it. So I left the money in there because like as we started going through programming and like how many people we had in there, I have a feeling some programs, or a lot of them that used to have a lot of kids in them, had minimal. We still ran them, but had a lot less. And I think it's because people didn't see the guide. I really do. But I think we do have another way to do it. We may have another option, cheaper option, but the money is still in the budget currently.
Instead of printing out the whole month, just send the postcard with the QR code.
Talked about that.
It's funny because I never read the book. I always look on like
Really?
when we got the book, I always was online.
Everyone else, I have
still
gotten,
do it. I did swimming lesson. I pulled it up on the website.
yeah, once you're in it, or once you have it, yeah, it's an easy way to get it. But I think the book reminded people. Yeah, and we get the book, I Live and Want to Keep, they send out like the 3 books, but they send out book, and it has like all department information. I kind of think it's cool. But like the kids all circled stuff and like things they wanted to do. And, yeah. And I had so many calls about when's the activity guide coming out, and
I'm sure if I
No.
took a picture of it with their iPad QR code, they'd be up to you.
yeah, that'd be great, right? Yeah. Maybe that's
Maybe if you did the QR code, you could do, here's the online version, check this if you would like to receive it.
see the book. And we had that in the 2022 activity guide that we were going paperless. But if you still wanted a paper copy of it, please email us, and it had an email. But yeah, we had a few, yeah, not a lot, but that's the other thing. Like, people read those portions of it.
Just like a quick submit,
Submit it, yeah.
something.
If they're online already. Right, that just throw it away, yeah. True, but there is other information in there about the community, like the parks, like the trail, like where trails are, access points. So I mean, that part of it's kind of nice. And as those expand, there's new ones like maybe didn't even know about. So I just think it's like nice to be able to promote those too.
Is there anything else?
Oh no, yeah, for sure. Are there any other questions about the budget or? Make a motion, Jen.
I have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Before that.